his own hands. One inmate tells the Wall Street Journal that prison doctors tend to the 71-year-old's fractured ribs and broken nose.
I was very upset to hear that maybe he had been beaten up. I don't want Mr. Madoff to be beaten up in prison. I want Mr. Madoff to live in prison and have a very long life. I want him to feel or try to feel what he has done to other people.
I don't need him to be in the dentist chair every day with somebody pulling his teeth. I wish him a long life. I hope he does live 150 years in federal penitentiary.
Butner prison officials say Madoff's hospital stay is related to hypertension and dizziness. In an exclusive interview with American Greed, one inmate says Madoff's fellow prisoners make up the whole episode.
He never was beat up. He fell because 2 medications were given to him on the night before. And what had happened is he blacked out and he fell near where water fountain is. When he came out of the hospital, yeah, he looked pretty bad. And most of the inmates thought it was an assault.
Whether or not the fight ever happened, former inmate Sean Evans says one thing remains clear. Bernie Madoff has adjusted remarkably well to prison life.
You know, some guys you watch, like lawyers and stuff like that, doctors, you know, they still have this air about themselves, like I'm still better, you know, I should be treated better. But he just doesn't seem like he's the type of guy to walk around with a chip on his shoulder. I've never seen him in a bad mood.
Bernie himself is very calm right now. He's relaxed. He's got himself back to his normal way of life that he knows he's going to be doing for the rest of his life.
Without sitting for a formal interview, Madoff manages to remain in the spotlight throughout his first year in prison, thanks in large part to his fellow inmates.
It is very difficult to know what's going on in Bernie Madoff's head and what's going on in the Butner prison. What we've heard so far is from inmates, current and former, and we always need to keep in mind that those people are convicted criminals. Doesn't mean they can't be telling the truth, but it also means that they know how to not tell the truth.
The world will eventually move on, and Madoff's legend will fade. And for inmate 617-27054, that will be the ultimate punishment.
The worst thing that could happen to him is if everybody went away. He had no groupies, he had nobody talking to him, nobody was interested in doing an interview like this. That would hurt him the most.
Eventually this is gonna hit him one day, like, this is where I'm gonna be at for the rest of my life. And it's real hard when that moment happens. Man, I can't go to my refrigerator when I want to. I can't be with the person I love. And it's a real humbling moment. Some people kill themselves when that reality sets in.
With Bernie Madoff behind bars, authorities turn their attention to potential co-conspirators.
I mean, I think any intelligent human being has to realize that not one man alone can have done what he did. If that be the case, my goodness, he should be running the country.
At the SEC, Inspector General David Kotz completes his 8th-month investigation into the Madoff crimes. According to Kotz, the SEC overhauls their inspection procedure. And now there are new safeguards in place to protect investors. Still, he knows the SEC catches a major break when Bernie Madoff ends the charade.
If Bernie Madoff had not confessed, I don't know that we can say for certain that the SEC would have ever uncovered the fraud.
As the SEC tries to put a stop to Ponzi schemes nationwide, Norma Hill, like many of Madoff's victims, checks her mail each afternoon, hoping that today will be the day she finally gets back her $250,000. According to CNBC's Scott Cohn, Madoff may have already spent a great deal of the money he stole.
It was spent. It was spent a long time ago. It was spent on the Madoff's penthouse. It was spent on the boats. It was spent on the lifestyle. So some of the money that they thought was invested, that they would get back, they just never will.
In the United States alone, there are thousands across the country still recovering from the Madoff scheme. In Surprise, Arizona, Ronnie Sue Ambrosino and her husband Dominic didn't live a lavish lifestyle before they lost $1.6 million to Madoff. Since losing her life savings, Ambrosino sets up a virtual support group online for Madoff victims.
Madoff wasn't diamonds and furs and gold to most of us. Madoff was the ability to give to charities. Madoff was the ability to gift the grandchildren tuition to college. Madoff was a way that you wouldn't have to worry about health care in your old age, and all of that's been obliterated.
In Palm Beach County, Florida, the Helios pack suitcases into their car, but it's not for their family vacation. After losing more than $1 million to a Madoff feeder fund, Steffi and her husband start an airport car service. The Helios pull long, exhausting hours.
People like to catch early flights, so we have pickups anywhere from 4:30 a.m. to 1 in the morning. I have a bad back, I have a bad shoulder, my back has gone into spasm several times, lifting heavy suitcases in and out of the car, but that's my job. It's still hard to believe that this could happen to us.
If business doesn't pick up soon, she worries she'll have to sell her house.
We're working very hard to keep our home. We won't be able to keep it forever. We're going to hold on maybe another year. Then we'll have to leave it.
On June 29, 2010, exactly 1 year since Madoff's sentencing, a group of his victims meet near his old offices at the Lipstick Building in New York City. Together, the victims have written a book titled The Club No One Wanted to Join.
It's about how do we, as examples, move forward and help other investors come to the realization that they need to be exceedingly watchful because this can happen to them very, very easily.
We don't have anybody that I would define as mega rich in our group. But the bottom line is it doesn't matter if you had 5 million or if you had 30,000. When you go down to zero, zero is the bottom.
Bernard Madoff does not define who I am, and it's not about him anymore. It's about what can we do as a group of investors who were defrauded of our savings to help other Americans not permit this to happen. That's what it's about now. It's not about him. He's finished.
The garbage business is a growth industry.
Trash.
America's
revenue,
waste industry successfully
junk,
produces 250
profits,
million tons of household and other
garbage,
municipal solid
billions.
waste.
Behold the American landfill.
First in business worldwide.
CNBC, first in business worldwide.
The most notorious greed of our time.
I would say he is the Charles Manson of the investment world.
An encore presentation of American Greed, Madoff Behind Bars, next on CNBC.